Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Alex Avila with Love University, and we're back. I'm an author, psychologist, and speaker. Every week, we talk about how to love ourselves, others, and a higher nature, how to improve our finances, career, relationships, health, and spirituality. And we have a very exciting guest today, Leena Duwadi. Our topic will be, if your face were a soul, what would you look like? Now, Leena is a very interesting person. She's a passionate storyteller and a value-based social media expert. She began her career as a radio journalist in Nepal, and she has been a social media influencer, a news anchor, a blogger, and editorial head of one of India's top digital media companies. She has been featured on BBC and has 2 master's degrees. Her mission is to create a positive impact on people's lives and be an advocate for emotional and spiritual health. Welcome, Leena, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, you have a very fascinating story. You grew up, you said, in a small town in a small country, Nepal, which a lot of people may not know where that is. I think it's in India or close to India. Mm-hmm. And then you said that you wanted from an early age to be in media. And girls, I guess, at your age didn't talk about those kind of things, or maybe that wasn't the most common thing to do. And you mentioned there are a lot of young women or women that have a dream, but they don't really accomplish it because of maybe societal influence or family influence. So how did you achieve your dream, and did your family support you or not support you?
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's so exciting. Yes. And yes, talking about my career, yes, I always believed that I was always a rebellion in family.
Oh, okay.
Because I always wanted to do something that no family members did till the date. And yes, back in those days, being in media, even mentioning in front of family that I'll be in media, I'll work in media was a big deal. Yeah. And yes, initially I was not accepted, my views, opinion, and my decision, but I just did. Yeah. So
I see. Now, did you have either parents or grandparents, did they say not to do it, or did they worry about it as a woman to do that?
I was denied. My parents even told, yes, you don't do. You know what, when I went for the interview for my local radio station, our local radio station in our hometown was, it had vacancy. They were looking for a news anchor. And I just went there without telling my parents, without telling anyone in the family, my sisters and all. Wow. So I just went and I was accepted, and they offered me job. And then only I told my parents, I told to my family, and they're like, oh, what? This is not something for you. This is not something for girls. And, even I heard that good girls don't work in media.
Yeah, I think I've heard that before in certain countries.
I just went. I just continued going, and I just did that.
I see. That sounds good. So you're kind of, you say, a rebel in your own country, I guess, in some ways. Leena, I just saw a ring on your finger. Is that a marriage ring that you have?
No, I have 2 rings. One is gifted by my sister, and another it's a symbol of God.
I'm talking about the tattoo finger ring. Do you have one there?
This is a tattoo fail. This is not a tattoo.
Oh, is that a tattoo? Oh. Is that it's a ring?
Yeah, this is ring that I'm engaged to God.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay. Well, it's actually the middle finger, so you got to be careful with that. But I see. So, so you're a spiritual person. We're going to get into that. Spirituality is a great thing. Now, there is a man named Muhammad Yunus who created something called micro-lending in the East Indian area, about lending small amounts of money to impoverished people, mainly females who wanted to start a small business. Now, some people have criticized that as taking advantage. Other people think it's a good thing. What do you think of that idea of micro-lending? Is that a good or a bad thing in the poorer communities where they lend, like a few $1,000s to poor people to start a business?
I am not very sure of this idea. I'm sorry.
You haven't heard about it? Oh, okay. But I mean, if philosophically, people think it's a good idea to give people an opportunity, right? They don't have, because they can't apply to a bank loan, for $2,000. But there's banks that do that to help them start a business. What encouraged you to start? Because you said that your family was against you. And was there anyone that did support you in your ventures to be a media person?
So yes, one thing I very much strongly believe that this, my passion that was inbuilt even before I was born. I believe this is something I got from my previous births. That's why even if I had nobody to tell you what to do and what not to do, and I decided what I will be doing for the rest of my life when I was pretty young. like,
Mhm.
when I was pretty young. And I think that the force that was inside me, I let that force drive me all my life, and I
Yes.
did not listen to anyone.
Wow. Okay.
Trust me, I did
Interesting.
not
So
listen to anyone.
it's like an
Yeah,
innate, something innate within yourself, like a soul or a spirit. They say that
yes,
some of the
yes,
great, like Mozart or Beethoven or writers, and they always had this inside them since an early age.
yes,
Sounds like
yes,
you were like that as well. Now,
yes,
also,
yeah.
you seem very cheerful. You laugh a lot and smile, Leena. So you seem like a happy person. And
I
then,
watch a lot of stand-up comedies.
okay, there you go. Okay, some of
Yeah.
the Indian, I guess Bollywood is pretty famous, no, for a lot of humor as well
Yes,
and
yes.
music. Now, you also mentioned that in your mind, you have a nice blog, and I like some of the stuff you write. That the
Hmm.
world is full of good hearts. A lot of people would say, well, it's not really, there's a lot of violence and aggression in the world. And, we had the pandemic and a lot of people are depressed and upset. But you said that there's actually good hearts in the world. And you tell a story of a young girl who came to you who had emotional problems. You were trying to help her. And then you said you recommended her for a professional counselor. But the counselor was charging her too much money. And then you said,
Yes.
well, I'm going to put a Facebook post and see what happens. And
Hmm.
actually, you said dozens of professional counselors offered to help her for free.
Yeah, yes,
So tell me
yes.
about that. How did that work?
Yes, actually, just like you mentioned, I believe that there are more good people, good hearts
Yes.
than the not so good ones. Yeah, that's why our life is so beautiful, and we always, when it comes to anything, any situation, even in pandemic, just we have seen how so many people, like thousands and thousands of people, have
Mm,
come together to help
mm.
others in need,
Yes.
and that is what I always am on this mission that I I envision a world where people only have great stories to tell.
Yes.
And talking about this young girl, she's from a remote village
Mm,
of South India, and she was she used to like message me for, it's been more than 2 or 3 years. She would always read my post and these things, and she would message me, I like your post, it gives me like courage, and I'm motivated and I'm inspired and all these things. And she was going through some depression. She was in, probably she was in coma, and she had the bad, like worst phase of her life in terms of physical and mental health.
mm.
And just she mentioned that sister, she calls me sister, though we haven't met, but she thinks that like she's pretty close to me.
Yes.
And one day she mentioned that, sister, I need like professional help, but a lot of people, I reached out, I went to hospital, they are charging me a lot, they are like
Right.
1,000 rupees per session,
Mm.
and I don't have money, my family doesn't have money. And I thought of posting, and whatever that, this is the best thing I think I do, because when it comes to sharing like this thing, I post on social media, and I'm so privileged to have great people in my network.
Yes.
And I posted, and you won't believe, like a lot of, around 50 people.
Wow.
Many were professionals, and many of them were not professionals, but they are always
Mm.
like, they're always eager to help people in need, and
That's beautiful.
practicing informally, not very much professionally, but practicing this thing.
Yes.
And yeah, I connected her to one of the counselors, and he helped her a lot, and now she's so fine, and she
Mm.
still keeps messaging me, and
Yes.
she's doing pretty well. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's really
I think, yes,
reaching out. Yeah.
this is the achievement, and this is, I
Yes.
think this is what makes me feel so good, and that I have accomplished something in my life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's why Love
yeah.
University. Our main philosophy is to extend loving energy without expectation. So we call it agape in certain religions, or karuna, compassion, or
Hmm.
bhakti, which is devotion in the Hindu religion. Now,
Hmm.
interestingly enough, now you say something like this. You say that everyone is religious or spiritual, even if they may not realize it. And I thought that's a very interesting idea. And I looked into Nepal, and they say you guys have the highest percentage of Hindus, I guess 82%, but you also tolerate other religions as well, I guess Buddhism and other religions. So I'm kind of curious about that comment, because some people say, no, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in anything beyond myself. So how do you say that everyone is spiritual or religious, even if they don't
Yes,
realize it?
you know what? There's a fact that today only I heard, and I even tweeted it, that God is, don't squeeze God into a religion. He's
Ah,
much bigger than that.
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
And these religions we have created, that all the divisions that we have created. And you know what, religion in Sanskrit, it's called dharma. And the actual meaning of dharma is our responsibility.
Oh, okay. How
So
do you spell
religion,
it? That's not dharma. Is it? How do you spell that?
dharma,
Oh,
yeah,
dharma. Okay, like duty
yeah,
or
yeah.
duty or something like that, or
This is the real meaning of religion in Sanskrit. That
yes,
this word originated is
yes,
responsibility. Then what's my responsibility?
yes,
What I'm supposed to do? It's not about it doesn't just belong to
yes,
worshipping and praying and all these things and following just rituals. It's much more bigger than that.
yes,
And spirituality, what I believe and what I have understood all my life is it's totally different from religion. And spirituality, it's spirit. We all are spirit. We all are
right,
energy. We all have that spirit inside us that drives this body,
yes,
and that is the existent, real existent.
yes,
And the spirit that is full of virtues and great virtues and values, if I drive my personality through the spirit, that is a
yes,
spirit and personality. That is spirituality.
yes,
You know what? We all are spiritual. We all are
yes,
spiritual because we love peace, we love prosperity, honesty, and these values and virtues. Even if we are not inculcating, we believe in these values and
yes,
we love these values. Why do we respect somebody? Because we respect somebody for their values, for their virtues. So I
right,
think, yeah, everybody is spiritual and everybody is religious.
yes,
It's not a matter of any
yes,
debate. If
yes,
we look from the bird's eye view,
right,
from the broader perspective,
yes.
it's pretty simple and sorted.
Yeah, I like that. You're very joyous in your persona, and one thing you can say that a spiritual belief or even a religious belief is something that you believe beyond yourself. But for some people, it's for example the path of pleasure. People like to eat and enjoy, and the essential pleasures. And in some of the Eastern religions, they don't really necessarily condemn that, but they say that's a path that has a limit. And then there's the path of duty, which is being responsible citizen, society, things like that. And then ultimately there's the path of love. They call it bhakti or karuna or agape. So that's another level. So it's possible people need to go through certain levels before they reach to the higher level or the ideal level of the spiritual love. So that's a pretty powerful idea. The other thing you talk about is you said that be the hope you never lost in one of your blogs. You talk about a young rickshaw driver who you met, and you asked him, "Do you like what you're doing now?" I think he was before working for someone else. And he said, "Yes, I do." And he said something like, "No one to poke, no more torture." So he wanted freedom. But I'm thinking rickshaw driver seems like a very hard job. I mean, you got to carry people. I don't know if it's physical or bicycle or motorcycle in the hot sun. So why would anyone want to be a rickshaw driver versus working in a job? As far as you know.
Yes, yes. I think you have observed my social posts a lot, and you know what? I have thousands and thousands of stories, such
Yes.
great stories
Right.
that whenever I go to,
Yes.
whenever I ride Uber, I immediately start talking to the
But tell me
driver.
this, so you are now rickshaw. Do they carry you on their back, or was he on a bicycle,
No,
or what was
no,
it?
no. It's like auto rickshaw. It's just like a motor
Okay, so
vehicle.
but still, he's in the hot sun. Why would he want to do? Why does he say he likes that better than working? I think he said he was an assistant to a vendor or something. Why would he want to do that instead?
Yes, yes, I remember. I remember that instance when I was in India, and that person told me. I asked him, "Why did you switch your job, and
Yes.
why you started doing this?" So he told me, madam, I'm having a free life. So I'm enjoying this life.
Yes.
Then I started thinking, yes, freedom is such a great virtue, and
Yes.
such a great value that we all love freedom.
Right.
And just like you mentioned, some people find pleasure in eating, traveling, and all these things. For what? For ultimately, they want peace, they want freedom, they want to let their spirit free. And whatever the path they choose, whatever technique they choose,
Right.
everybody wants freedom. And through
Yes.
spirituality, what I have experienced is, you don't need that age you don't need to cross that, bhakti, karma, and all these stages. You can straight away start your
Yes.
that journey to spirituality and journey to like real freedom. the right after you are born, and the right after your consciousness and your awareness is born.
Wow.
So
I like
yeah.
that. By the way, Leena, have you heard of Sadhguru, this mystical guy? I kind of visualize as a female Sadhguru a little bit, without the beard.
Oh my God.
So,
That's a big
is he
compliment. Yeah,
respected
yeah.
in India? Do you know who that is? Sadhguru?
Yes,
He-
my sister is crazy about
he's
his
on all these
speeches.
different
Yeah,
YouTubes.
yes,
Yeah,
he's
so
so famous for his
yeah,
philosophy. Yeah.
so I mean, he's a kind of a practical speaker. So he talks about a lot of spiritual things in a practical way, which I think you do the same thing. And also you talk about, but no beard, right? You don't want to do that. Right. You look good, all right. But the other thing you talk about is mental illness, which is really a very important topic, very interesting topic. The stigma of mental illness in certain cultures. Now, the idea of are you okay? And you say that if you can't empathize with someone who's depressed, for example, don't speak at all. And there are apparently people that say things like, toughen up, don't be weak. And I don't know if that's common in your culture. Do people still look down upon mentally ill people in Nepal or India, those places?
Yes, unfortunately, in places like small places like my country,
Yes.
we have, though we have evolved a lot, but we must admit that there's a lot to be done. There's a lot
Yes.
to be done, and why I always, try to raise voice against, in favor of this is, we don't know. Back in those days when I, even if I recall my story when I was going through when I started my media journey, and I was after 2-3 years I had a tuberculosis.
Oh,
And
wow.
and I was in a phase that I was totally in bed rest, and I didn't.
no.
I did not go to a job, and I was like all my skin was dark, and my skin color
Wow.
and everything. I remember I was in severe, like in melancholy. Like I was so sad, and I was depressed, and I didn't know what to say to someone. I did not know. I even did not know that I was depressed. Now I realize
Yes.
that that was a kind of depression I went
Yes.
through. And you know what? When I don't know what is depression and what it actually looks like, with all the nowadays with all social media awareness, we have come to know because we share a lot of stories and we exchange stories.
Right.
Back in those days, we didn't know nothing, and even in remote parts where people do not have internet access, and when people are not so educated about this stuff, they don't know. And whenever somebody feels like if somebody looks like being sad, the only thing the person gets to hear is, hey, chill, come on.
Right.
Nobody bothers what the person is going through, and
Right, exactly.
nobody bothers about listening to the person's story and all these things. This is a pretty sad thing.
Yes.
And I always try to help people in need, whoever comes to me, they message me, call me, and reach out to me. By the way, I have a lot of people who just say, I just want to, hey, I don't know you, I don't know who are you, but I want to share.
Yes.
I want to share my story.
Right.
And what I do, I just listen. I don't give any judgments. I don't give any, I don't respond. I don't even respond or react until and unless they want to hear something from me.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of time we just need ears, not mouth.
I was going to say that, yeah. You took the words out of my mouth. That's when you phrased it. So you talk about empathetic listening, with, pure attention is a very powerful tool. In therapy we use it, and also just, on a day-to-day, with friends or family members, right, to listen to them without judgment. Because judgment is what clouds the picture, makes people insecure, self-conscious. But without judgment means to give love without expectation. That you're not going to expect them to do a certain thing or act a certain way, but just to be themselves.
Yes. And the only thing people hesitate to share their stuff. People take years and years to come up with their own story and share on any platform or with any person. Why do they just prefer to stay silent? Because they fear of being judged.
Exactly. Now we take it to even a more severe level, and it's very serious, the idea of suicide. And you talk about it in your blogs, the idea that knowledge may not save a suicidal person. Like, for example, you can know that you should never give up, or this will change or get better. But when you're in that depressed state, you're very deep down, and it's hard to give out. It's hard to come up out of there. And those platitudes or those words may not affect the person to save them. So what can you do to help a suicidal person? Let's say, are words enough? What can you do to help them?
Actually, this is one of the most difficult things to deal with. Actually, I had a couple of years back, I had one guy coming to me, and yes, again, I didn't know that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He came to me and he was like, I'm feeling suicidal. And unfortunately, the person had lost 3 family members, in 1 year.
Mm.
So he told me that, I'm very there's no purpose to live. There's no reason that I live now, and I feel like this. And I was so speechless. First thing, I'm not a counselor. I'm not an expert. I'm just a normal person trying to, raise a bit of awareness in my capacity.
Right.
And yes, and I did not know what to say. And I just kept my silence. And the person himself, he kept on sharing. And
right.
You know what, in the end, like he said, now I feel a little bit lighter.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Wow,
thank
okay.
you for listening to me, and thank you for saying nothing.
I see.
So,
I see.
yeah.
So you had the loving ears is basically what helped him in that sense.
Yeah, I try to speak less and listen more.
That's a good way to do it. And
Yeah.
but also things like faith, gratitude. There's certain things that can help people when they're stuck in a very low position, spiritually and mentally, to raise their energy level. And those are important things to do. Action, taking some small activity. Maybe loved ones that can give them some support. Finding a passion or meaning in life. Something beyond themselves that they're want to leave behind at some point in their life. So there are many things we can do to help people who are suicidal or majorly depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, by the way, Leena, you know that Love University, I wrote a best-selling book called Love Types on personality types and compatibility. And we often have people that want to meet the right person. So I have someone for you. Here's a 30-year-old man who wants to be your boyfriend for 1 year, he says. And I think you wrote about it in your blog. And he came to you. This is a real story, I imagine. He said to you, you are confident, mature, and independent, but I'm not. Please be my boyfriend, I guess, for 1 year. And you said, you answered to him, you said, start taking responsibility for yourself instead of wasting time begging. Now, you said you were a little harsh, but sometimes the hard way is the right way. So tell us about this.
I was so rude, yeah.
You're rude. Okay. But is this true? So someone wanted to be your boyfriend for 1 year, he said, and I guess he's a younger man. He's 30 years old. So what happened? Tell us about that.
Okay, maybe he was looking for someone, and I met him in my travel, and
Okay.
as usual, I just I'm good to him, and we just talked, and I think he went a bit like one step ahead, and
Okay. So you met him in the real world. I mean, this is a real meeting that you had with him.
I met him in a hotel. He was
Okay.
in a hotel I stayed in.
Okay.
And and after that we talked a lot about we shared a lot of things that values, the principles that we follow, and that person from a different country and from different set of culture and background and all these things. And yes, I should admit that I was rude, because that I felt that was the right thing to do, because if I was so humble and so kind and so bothering, and that person might feel like, okay, she is also interested in me, and so I should,
I see. But what did he only say 1 year? That's interesting. He didn't want a long-term commitment, or what was his idea?
Yes, the story is he told me that in 1 year I'll transform myself and I'll become mature.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So you're like a 1 year program of self-development in love, I guess. Okay.
Okay.
I see. But then you told him, basically you're saying to love yourself first. I mean, to find within yourself that inner love. And then eventually, hopefully you can attract, someone that resonates with your personality. But also you talk about a bigger concept is the idea of loneliness. You mentioned that loneliness, and we talk about this a lot at Love University, is maybe one of the biggest killers of mind and body, even more than obesity or smoking. It can actually cause physical illnesses, emotional illnesses. One of our missions at Love University is to help eradicate loneliness by the year 2025. through our community of love and connection. So it sounds like you have also this big idea about loneliness, and especially social media. You say people that use it too much feel detached. And we talk about loneliness as being separated from yourself, others, and a higher nature, which could be God or spirit. So tell us, how do you view this idea of loneliness? And this young man apparently was lonely.
Yeah, actually, and there are two, I have replaced loneliness with the word alonement.
Oh, okay.
This is like, I read it somewhere, and this is like, I'm still like, I'm alone in this house now, but I feel fulfilled.
Okay.
I'm
So
still
you call
fulfilled.
it alonement? Is it a term you use? Okay.
It's alonement.
That's
And
cool.
you know what? I read it somewhere in an article, and I loved it so much. When I'm full inside, when I'm contented inside, when I have a lot of good things inside me, and I'll not look for any other person. Of course, having great people around, having company, having good people, family, and all this people around me is great. That's a great thing. But when I'm not with somebody else, when I'm not with people around me, when I'm with myself, I still do not have to feel like I'm empty.
Right, exactly.
So yeah.
Right. So this young man was trying to reach out because he felt lonely, you feel. And he looked at you to fill his loneliness. And also he said he was immature or something. He wanted your wisdom. But he talked about in a love relationship. But you told him, first you got to love within yourself. So what happened? Did you ever hear back from him again? Did he, find a woman, as far as you know? Or
I'm still in touch with him. We just exchange hi, hello every couple of months. But I think he's fine, so we don't talk
good.
much.
All right, so he's a success story. Okay. So a little bit of tough love is what you needed, right? So you wanted to get him on the right track. So Leena, by the way, I'm going to throw you in a pool of water that's 6 feet deep. Now, you told me you're afraid of water, right? I think you said the word aquaphobia.
Yes.
And then you're talking about that you wanted to learn how to swim, I guess, to conquer that. And you're in the 3 feet swimming pool, you're okay. And then the teacher says, hey, go to the other side, is 6 feet. And then he actually pushed you in the water. Okay. And you said you made it, but you're still afraid. Are you still afraid of water or no? Yes?
I'm still afraid of water. After coming to the US, I just tried swimming, but I think, I realized that when I die, water could be the reason. I still fear, but
But I mean, I almost drowned as a little kid. So, but I'm not a good swimmer, but I try. So what do you say to people? Now you talk about there are no inflatables in the pool of life. So basically, there's nothing to you got to jump in there. So how do you say to people that are afraid of life to jump in the pool, like you said, because it's a mystery down there?
Yes, when you are afraid of, just like resonating with my story of learning swimming, when you are afraid of jumping in the water, God sends somebody to push you in the water.
Okay. And hopefully to rescue you if you need it too, right? A lifeguard.
Yes. And yes, when God pushes you in the water, he has, that lifeguards for you as well. So I feel that life is, that what is God? This universe is God. The supreme, that energy is God. This universe, our life, and this world teaches us everything. If I'm not learning from my, people around me and from my school and university, then there's a big teacher, life.
Yes.
It teaches you everything that you have missed learning from yourself, from rest of the things. So, for the people who are, people who are afraid of jumping in their life, it's a very broad thing. And maybe people, fear of trying out the career they want, or for a relationship, for any other business, job, or any other thing. I think what specific thing they are afraid to, they should have this mentality that today I'm afraid of it, but at the same time I should prepare myself to jump into that. That time comes anytime, not today, but tomorrow, maybe the day after tomorrow. So you have to have this mentally prepared that anything can happen to you anytime.
Exactly.
So just be prepared for that.
Yes. Well, I think in the book I wrote, Invincible You, I say take action despite the fear. And then, that's the key to one of the keys to dissolving fear. But I just realized I never thought of this, but the term lifeguard is kind of cool because it means guarding your life. So you think of a higher power, God, Spirit, is there to guard you and to guard your life. So if you trust in that higher nature, then it's going to help you take that, take the risk, right? Take the chance.
Yes.
Because you have someone to catch you, right? Someone to pull you out of that water.
God doesn't come himself, but he will have, people, great people will guard you through your life.
Someone call them angel, human angels or something like that. That come to save you, right? Like if you're on the side of the road, that's happened to me where my car broke down and somebody came and really helped me.
And that person is angel to you, right?
Exactly, angel. Yeah. So I thought,
angels are everywhere. Yeah. Yes. I truly believe that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then of course, Leena, then we get to the ultimate phase, which is death, and this is a hard topic. And you're talking about your grandmother who you loved a lot, and she was a little lady who was very sweet to you, and she inspired you. I think she says, do what truly moves you, and if no one upholds it, I will be there for you, meaning your grandmother. But of course, she did die. You said you felt devastated, but you still have memories of her. So how did you get through your grief? My dad died a few years ago. It was very hard. So what is your advice to people about death?
So I have realized time is the biggest healer. So with time, we all know that vacuum that has created inside you will never be fulfilled. But at least you can try. At least you can try to fill it with good things that make our lost ones feel good.
Yes. Definitely.
So yes, death this is such a bitter word to even discuss about, but this is a reality we cannot deny.
Right.
Any day could be our last day in life. We don't know. This is something no matter how advanced we'll go in technology and everything, no matter how sensitive we call ourselves, but there are few things that nature has given us that will never defeat it. So. Yes, just like I mentioned, I was in touch with this guy who lost 3 family members in just a span of 1 year. That person every day was like coming to me and we just sharing his grief and crying on all these things, and it was really hard for me to even deal with that person because all I could do was just listen to him and just listen to him and share my experience of how I went through the similar phase. So for those who have lost their loved ones, the only thing I can say is remember them with love, not with grief.
Exactly. Well, I think because the loving energy is one thing that goes beyond your body. And today's topic is if your face were a soul, what would you look like? So if that is the face of love, then the person that died will leave that behind in the hearts of people that remember that. And of course, the good works they did, things they accomplished spiritually or psychologically. That's a very powerful concept. Love as an ultimate, inheritance, shall we say? When you leave. And you did say that no one believed in you, but I have a feeling that your grandma may have believed in you, right? When you were a little kid, did she believe in you and your dreams?
Yes, and actually, yes. You know what? I should say that a lot of people believed in me and my sisters when it's just a. I can't blame my parents that they did not understand me. I can't blame anyone that did not understand me because we are shaped by our society. Right. Our mindset is shaped by our society and culture and everything. Exactly. What my mom went through, she will not want me to go through the same difficulties. So in order to protect me out of that attachment or love or whatever you say, she'll try that life goes easier with me. Maybe that was the one big reason.
But your grandmother did believe in you, right? She's the one that said, go for your dreams. And you remember that in her, right? That loving energy she had.
Yes. And yeah.
I see. Now, Leena, one thing I like to kind of summarize everything is you talk about the best things you've done in your life. And you have a nice little list. But before I get to that, I want to ask you, what is the worst thing you've done in your life?
The worst thing I've done in my life is I cried a lot. Okay. And I I feel crying is just an expression. This doesn't show that if you are weak, or this is
Okay.
not
But
the
did you
symbol
cry
of
for
weakness.
like someone died, or just like someone was mean to you or
No,
something?
I was so emotionally, I was so
Sensitive?
fragile, yeah,
Oh. Oh,
sensitive,
okay.
and now I believe that I
Okay.
have evolved as a person
Okay.
when
Okay.
I don't cry for
For little
every
things.
little things,
Okay.
but at the same time I believe that I don't term any of the things I did as worst,
Mm.
because that is what shaped me, and
Okay.
that is what taught me.
Yes.
Probably,
Mm.
I learned from the worst thing, so-called
Yes,
worst thing,
definitely. Yep.
more than the best things in life. So
Right,
yeah.
exactly. So not basically to be regret free. So not to have regrets, but to learn the
Mhm.
lessons from even if you did make a mistake or things didn't work out the right way, you learn that for the future, and that shaped you as well. Now let's talk about the good things. Now, it sounds like you have a lot of really good things that you've done in your life that have helped you. You talk about discovering your passion at a young age, which is media, and then following that career. You talked about reading and writing, and you say you didn't read until you were 25. Is that really true? You never read anything serious until you were older?
Yes, actually, I started reading pretty late in life, and
Hmm.
being mm, I was so busy in my career. I started my career right after my high school, so
Oh, okay.
I was so occupied in things,
Right.
and
But I'm
you
sure you
know,
read in high school, you had to read books to get through high school, didn't you?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we're talking about like for pleasure or like reading for, for other reasons. You
Mhm.
didn't do it until 25.
Yeah.
Okay. But then now you love to read, right? You said that's one of the things that's helped you reading and writing to express yourself.
You know what? When I got into professional writing, when I started getting paid for my writing. Then I thought, okay, I need to start reading, because
Mm.
I have to improve my English. I have to improve
Okay.
my grammar and everything.
Yes.
That's why I started doing that. Yeah.
Okay. And also you mentioned a very important thing, spirituality, God, meditation. You say you're a vegetarian. Your body is made of plants and not meat or not animals. And I'm thinking of Gandhi, who talked a lot about vegetarianism as a form of purity, even celibacy and things like that. So why is that important to you? Now, in America, we're not usually vegetarian. I know you moved to America. So how do you maintain? You see a Big Mac or burger everywhere you go, and all this meat everywhere. So how do
Every
you do
every
that?
every newspaper I lift, I see all the these
Yeah,
ads and
steaks and everything. Okay. So how do you maintain vegetarianism in a world of meat?
sometimes it's pretty difficult,
Mm,
because I every time I have to search vegan, vegetarian restaurants near me.
mm,
But I lived with my sister for 2 years,
mm.
and at home I was free to cook what I wanted to cook, so I never had to. Sometimes when we go for traveling, it becomes difficult, but I think that doesn't mean
Mm.
I cannot compromise with my life's
Yes.
choices. So
But why are you, is it, some people say because they don't want to kill animals, some people say it's spiritual or it's healthier. Why are you a vegetarian? And how do you recommend that to
so
people?
my parents. My parents are from spiritual background, and we never cooked non-vegetarian
Hmm.
in our home.
Okay.
So from the beginning of life,
Hmm.
we were served, we avoided all those non-veg things,
Yes.
and not even onions and
Hmm.
garlic, and
Hmm.
things like
Hmm.
this. So coming from that family,
Hmm.
and that roots, they are seeded so strongly in my
Yes.
head and heart, and I never had to think, of
Right.
changing my
But
lifestyle.
why is it? I mean, I don't know the spiritual philosophy behind it, but what is the spiritual philosophy behind being a vegetarian? Is there like you shouldn't kill, other creatures or eat them? What is it that prevents people from doing?
More than that, what you consume, you become like that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Your body, your mind and body is shaped. They
Yes.
are shaped by what you eat.
Hmm. Okay,
So
I see. So
so
plants are a little more spiritual, maybe they're lighter or something like that. They have a different energy. Is the idea?
yes, yes.
Yeah, plants are a little nicer. Okay. Also, you said interesting. You said make less friends. You said have 5 amazing, crazy friends. Uh, so I'm thinking that I mean that's for people that are introvert energy may not want a lot of friends. But how about if you're extrovert? What if you do like a lot of friends? What do you say to those people?
It's great to have friends. I am in a way, I'm very much non-social. I have
Okay.
very less friends.
So
And
you're more introvert energy. So you get energy from
I
your
am
own
very
thoughts.
much introvert, but
Okay.
sometimes forcefully extroverted.
Okay. Like today,
So
right? You got to talk. Okay. But see, introvert means that energy. Like after this, you have to take a hot tub or relax and meditate. Because you used up all your social energy for the day. I'm the same way. So but you recommend that for a lot of people, even if you're extrovert, to have like a fewer close friends? Is that your idea?
see, personality, we come with a set of personality. We come with a set of values and
Yes.
virtues inside us. So I'll
Yes.
never tell an extrovert person to become an introvert.
Right.
So just so be just like you, and
Yes.
make the most of it. So having great friends, I go crazy that why don't I have a great many friends? Why don't I
Okay.
go to hang out with friends
Yeah.
on weekends?
Okay.
Every time on weekends I'm just with my laptop and I'm doing
Okay. Right.
something and all these
Well,
things.
you have Dr. Alex, so I'm your friend now, and Love University is your friend. So, okay.
Yes, thank you,
We just
thank you
made a
so
new friend.
much.
I agree with you. I think, deep friends are really nice, deep, long connections, especially internal energy people. And finally, you said to help those in need. And this is one of the big things of Love University is, to extend loving energy without expectation. So whether it's giving to charity, helping a friend, things like that. So I can see that's a big part of your life as well. Are there certain kind of people that you help these days?
Yes, and when I say that I want to help somebody, that doesn't mean I go to every single person and offer my help or this
No.
thing. I invest my time and energy in, improving myself.
Right.
So that if somebody comes to me, they get that vibes, they get that positivity and some sort of divinity from my personality, and they get something from me, even if we don't talk. So that is in real sense that how we help somebody. We don't have to say something to somebody if we want to help. Sometimes, just like I said, it's listening to somebody and just, standing by someone is of a great help. So that is my idea of helping
I see.
somebody.
That's great. Well, Lena's been wonderful to have you on the show. Like, you do have a very spiritual aura about you. I can see that you can be a speaker if you want to be in a writer of this field. Tell us, where do we hear more about you? Do you have a website? Do you have do you do coaching material? What is it that you can offer our listeners?
Yes, I do blogging, and I run a blog, but unfortunately, due to my, just not being able to manage priority and time and my energy, I hardly update, but I should be consistent to my,
Okay, let's put you as a goal. A
yeah,
Love University goal is update your blogs frequently. Okay.
yeah, and I request our listeners to follow me on social media, and
Okay.
I'm sure, 100% sure that you'll find something that would
Yes.
help
I love
you.
those nuggets of wisdom. So tell us, what is your website, Lena?
It's leenachitwan.com, Lena. She is Chitwan. That's my hometown. I replaced my surname with my hometown
Okay.
all over social
Okay.
media.
Say that one more time slowly so we can get it.
Lena.
So Lena, which is your first name,
It's Leena, Chitwan.com.
is Chitwan. Is that
Chitwan,
so?
yeah.
LenaChitwan.com. And
Yeah.
what's your social media handle? Facebook and all that?
Leena Chitwan, all over social media. It's
Oh, okay.
Leena
Lena at
Chitwan.
Chitwan. Okay, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That's your little style. That's great. So you basically write a blog. Do you do anything else? Do you coach people? Do you do any appearances or anything?
I am not doing that professionally, but
Okay.
yes, I have a bunch of people who I am in touch with, and
Okay.
I'm open to help
Mhm.
anyone
Yes.
in my capacity. So
Okay.
I'm all up to listen to great stories, any kind
Okay.
of
I
stories
see.
that you have, and yes,
Okay. That's wonderful. So you're basically doing this as a humanitarian, I guess, nonprofit in some way, right? To help people, which is kind of
hmm
refreshing. So we really
yeah,
love to have you on the show. And if
thank
anyone wants to
you.
hear more about Lena, have any questions, or want to comment on today's show, they can reach us at loveuniversity.love. Email us at loveuniversitylove@gmail.com. Call us at 310-226-8090. And Lena, I know you're in San Francisco. I'm in Southern California, so maybe we can meet up sometime.
Yes, we should. We should. Yeah.
And I'd love maybe even have you as a guest on one of my seminars and talks, because sometimes we do things,
Wow.
live,
Thank you so
things like
much.
that. So it's been wonderful to have you on the show. And again, I extend love and energy to you and your people, and also that you continue the work you're doing to help change the world. And again, if your face were a soul, what would it look like? In your case, I think it would be very beautiful and lovely.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well,
And
wonderful.
thank you for having me.
Yes, Dr.
It's great
Avila.
talking to you.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. Love University. That was a great show with Leena Duwadi. And what struck me about her is that she's a very lovely woman and also very humble and spiritual. And she's trying to make a big difference in the world. The idea is your face were a soul, what would it look like? And I think that's an important question to ask ourselves. As we go out in the world of appearances and physical manifestations, what is your inner self like? Are you humble, compassionate, grateful, optimistic? Do you give love to others without expectation? Those are the beautiful things in life that we want to encourage Love University listeners to go out and do this week. To smile at people, pay sincere compliments, help those who need help, open a door for someone, even help a hopeless person or a friend. Listen. The ears more than the mouth is very important when people are hurting and need your help. If you want to be on the show, if you have a show question, if you want to follow us, you can like us on Facebook at Love University Podcast. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Love Letter U Podcast. You can subscribe to us on Podbean, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Listen to our show. Every week we have really interesting guests or topics that can really uplift you, transform your life, and give you that loving energy that can be a tremendous inner power, inner joy. So until next time, this is Dr. Alex Avila of Love University. Put away your notebooks, your iPads, your iPhones, and we'll see you next time. Dr. Avila.